Welcome to The Secret Witch Show, the podcast providing a safe and alchemical altar space of conversations which help powerful women escape a half-hearted, spiritless society and rediscover the freedom of living a wildly magical life. Every other week, we explore how to cast aside the wounds of shame, guilt, and fear connected with fully being yourself, so you can grant yourself permission to stop hiding, ground soulfully back into your body, illuminate your whole soul desires, tend your soul, rediscover and reclaim your powerful gifts, express your magic, and manifest your wildest alchemy. There's no better place to become who your heart longs to be. This is where we will guide you into liberation. I'm your host, Nicole Barton, and I'm so excited to dive in. Hello, magical ones. In today's modern culture, magical healing women are suppressing and ignoring the calls of their bodies in order to fit into ways of being that don't serve them, leaving them numbing their body screams and feeling unable to follow the call of their heart's desires to live as their wild and medicinal, truthful selves. So, I've created the path for those soul-healing, intuitive oracles to reconnect to their wild medicine woman. Beginning in January, we will be guiding you on the path of invoking your medicine woman to reconnect with the wisdom of your body to create a soul-led life honouring your wild truth. Find out more at www.nicolebarton.co.uk/medicine-woman. In today's episode, I am delighted to be freestyling on the topic of how to tune into your inner medicine woman. Medicine Woman is a powerful aspect of the Witch Archetype, and I explore what's possible for you if you invoke her. In this episode, I explore who Medicine Woman is, what her wounds and fears are, and how her healing gifts of wisdom, intuition, and alchemizing darkness into gold can be medicine not only for yourselves, but for the world. This episode brings this powerful archetype alive for you, offering a practical embodiment practice if you truly long to choose to devote yourself to tuning into your inner medicine woman. Let's dive in. Welcome, magical ones, to how to tune into your inner medicine woman. And I have to say, when I first put this poll for this podcast episode out into my Secret Witch Circle Facebook group for you guys to vote, I was secretly in the background manifesting that this one would be the winner. It's one that I'm very excited to share on, and quite magically, as you can probably hear, Medicine Woman was initiating me last week into a chest bug. I'm all healed, but my chest is still a bit chesty. So as you can hear, my voice is doing its best. So it's quite magical in a way that for this episode, Medicine Woman has kind of initiated me a little bit deeper prior to recording. Welcome, and I'm very excited for this one. Now, how to tune into your inner medicine woman. So we're going to be diving into who Medicine Woman even is. She's an important aspect of the witch, but we'll get to that. Because firstly, I just wanted to share one of my favourite recent quotes by Lucy Pierce, who's going to be coming on the podcast very soon as well. But this quote is from her book. And it really, really spoke to me, and so much so that, because I am in January actually leading a group of magical women through their own initiation into Medicine Woman in my Invoke Your Medicine Woman Crucible. And because this quote is just so good, I actually used it on my page that was sharing about this crucible. So I'm going to read it to you just because it really helps to sum up who Medicine Woman is. So, it may be the first day of your life, the prime of youth, or several decades in when Medicine Woman calls you. Your name on her list, her new initiate. She crept in whilst you were sleeping when you overexerted, when you kissed him or ate that or lived there or pushed too hard just one time too many. She crept in and curled up in your cells, your heart, waiting to meet you, longing to know you, longing for you to know her at last. And what feels like the end is in fact a beginning of a new road, an unknown path of pain and healing. She will show you how to slow down. She will run her fingers roughly through your life and help you sort the busyness from what matters. She will show you how to find support and who you really are beyond your roles and expectations, and even more beyond the system the world has forced you into. She transports you into the timelessness of big pains and tiny joys, initiates you into your strength, into your love, into your courage, into a world beyond your control. She has sent me an invitation. I see yours too, tucked in your bag, amongst all the receipts and the bills, the pens and the detritus of life. Take it out. It's time. Ooh, got chills at that. It is absolutely just, so speaks to the journey that I have had through life. And I have to say, actually, that Medicine Woman as an archetype, as an aspect of the witch archetype, is perhaps my most unconscious competence in terms of the archetypes that I've embodied. It's like she is such a huge part of my life that when I came to think about talking about her, about creating a crucible about her, it was just so obvious to me that I didn't realise that other people hadn't made this journey. And it's because it's been such a huge journey of my own. Right from a very, very young age, I was initiated into Medicine Woman, perhaps as early as the age of 4 or 5. So for me, it's just kind of been this ongoing learning, this kind of unconscious competence that Medicine Woman has been part of my life. And who is she? I think you got a sense from that initial poem, but really, ultimately, Medicine Woman is a powerful archetype. She's an energetic healing force, a soul guide, a powerful story of a medicinal healing woman. Often, medicinally healing in the way of kind of using our own wisdom, our own deeper wisdom to heal. And ultimately she's an archetype which we can use as a mirror, a lens, as we do any other archetype, a lens within which we can explore our lives and hold a mirror up to see parts of our lives that we hadn't seen, parts of our lives that we of who we are, in terms of who we didn't know we were. So she is an important aspect of the witch archetype. I've talked about the various different kind of aspects of the witch before. We've got the creatrix, we've got the feminine power, we've got all different aspects of the witch. Often I explore those in my crucibles, my group programs for Within. And that's why I am doing so in January. So Medicine Woman is huge. It's a huge aspect of the witch archetype. The witch really was, at her core, a medicine woman. She knew how to heal herself and how to heal the world. And Medicine Woman is really this deeply feminine power that knows how we can heal. She's a teacher. And for each of us, she will come to offer different things. So when we invoke Medicine Woman, really we're invoking, our own unique experience of Medicine Woman. Each of us will have different versions of her because we're all unique. So really what we're talking to here is like an energetic kind of importance of who she is. That's what matters. It's like an energetic knowing of Medicine Woman and who she is for you. And what she can show us, what her energy can show us, is what matters. So in terms of who she is and what she may offer to you if you choose to invoke her, she really is the one that will hold us as we transform. She grounds us into our cycles, into the cycle of renewal, of rebirth after death. She kind of rips the plasters off and has us deeply look at our wounds. She is the one that kind of stands in the face of death or darkness and uses it to transform darkness into beauty. So she's the alchemist. She helps us turn lead into gold. You know, it helps us turn our emotional wounds, our darkness, into beauty, into light, into truth. And she really, really deeply helps us go into our bodies and begin to listen, not only to kind of our bodies and the signals they've got, but the wisdom contained within our bodies before we make a move into doing anything else. So Medicine Woman is the one who helps us see patterns of uncomfortable truths. She's the one who helps us see that we don't have to stick to what we've been taught. We don't have to stick to what is known, and we are often Medicine Woman will initiate us by illness, whether that's physical, mental, or perhaps even soul sickness, and she does that in order to have us learn new ways of being so that we can release the old and birth the new. And I'm going to go into my own journey with Medicine Woman shortly. But really she comes here with the kind of darkness, the discomfort, to help us step into and heal those wounds and learn new ways of being. She helps us to become more conscious of our bodies, of our emotions, of our wounds. And of course, within our wounds, within all of that, the kind of darkness, she helps us to see our magical gifts and our power. Because usually deeply held within our wounds, whether physical or emotional, is a gift. Our gift for the world. And again, that's very much been my own journey, which I'm going to share more about. But I wouldn't even be here talking to you if I hadn't had Medicine Woman help me to really get up close and personal with the wounds that I have, in order to see that my gift is to be here sharing my journey, sharing this path for magical women to help them reclaim their own gifts from their wounds and their own power. So it's very much, this has all been created from my own journey, and Medicine Woman has helped me to really become conscious of what my journey is, and how I can use that to guide other magical ones into their own magic and power. And when we allow ourselves to be initiated by Medicine Woman, we learn really to embody her wisdom, to actively heal ourselves, to discover our gold, to claim our feminine power. And then we also discover our gift, not only for ourselves and how we can heal ourselves, but then our gift to the world. Because firstly, if we want to be a medicine for the world, if we want to be a gift to the world, we have to transmute our own pain into healing first. And that is like transforming our darkness into gold. And then when we've done that, or at least kind of walked the path of that, then because it feels to me that it's never really done, but it's a learning of how we do it, then we can share these gifts wider into our community. So at that point we become the medicine women of the world. So the power of Medicine Woman is really huge. You know, she is here to heal us, but she's also here to be this bigger force in the world, offering her medicine to other women. So yeah, the power of Medicine Woman is just huge. She's like super transformational as an archetype. Ultimately, she's another lens, a powerful one, which helps us to see our true power to create all of life. And first and foremost, to create our health. But secondly, to our capacity as witches to create all of our lives magically and become who we really are, become our true essence, our true gift, our true medicine for the world. And of course, she is part of the witch. So often before she can even be initiated, it's helpful to see how our witch wounds can also stop us from harnessing her power. Often our secret witches in this community, and it's so understandable, so innocent, have a lot of fear, have a lot of mistrust, have a lot of kind of hiding their power. So in particular, and of course, like Medicine Woman will help with all of this. The journey into Medicine Woman will help with this, but there are, you know, in being our medicine in the world, both for ourselves and others, is quite a bold move for the secret witch, because she fears being outcast. And often the ways that Medicine Woman wants us to heal ourselves are not typically accepted ways by society. So there is almost a conscious choosing past the fear in order to be able to embrace the medicine woman aspect of our witch, first and foremost. So often secret witches will feel some resistance to Medicine Woman's call. So the reason I explore this is that you know, until we make this conscious, we're not available to choose into being our gift, becoming our medicinal gift. So this is really important to notice, that as a secret witch, and if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to assume that you're a secret witch, who is really ultimately not necessarily just somebody who plays with potions, but somebody who really doesn't yet know her power and magic. So to even begin to step into Medicine Woman in itself is a powerful move for the secret witch, and so it is important to witness and acknowledge that there will be some fear in invoking Medicine Woman, and there also will be this kind of lack of trust of your power. So as a secret witch, you'll likely doubt yourself to be able to even invoke Medicine Woman, big time, because in times gone by, and this is built into our DNA really, our ancestors as witches were not allowed to trust their wisdom and intuition, because it would have had them burned at the stake. So often the secret witch will feel this kind of ancestral wounding deeply in her body and have her disconnect from her Medicine Woman. Even if she's slightly called to her, there will be this fear of the capacity to actually heal herself. Like it might feel like really pulling your heart, really calling to you. Like you can see that this is something that is calling to you, but there's also this deep fear of actually being your medicine, of actually being in your magic, and actually having the capacity. You know, you doubt yourself. Can I actually really heal myself? And I have again felt this very deeply. You know, the whole purpose of the secret witch and the work that we do here is because I was a secret witch, and at times secret witch still sneaks in. So I totally relate to this fear, and I have very much been there. This fear of, yeah, can I even do this? And it's so understandable given, again, the witch wounds that we have experienced, or our ancestors have experienced, and that we still feel though the kind of remnants of. And then, of course, the other thing is that the secret witch will often hide and shame her power. So whether the secret witch has a sense of her healing power and magic and medicine or not, she will usually likely unconsciously distract from even going there with her Medicine Woman. So you might feel drawn to invoking your Medicine Woman, and at the same time, all of a sudden life gets super busy, and you're creating that in a way to distract yourself from actually being in your medicine. Because again, if we get too close to who we really are, to discovering our gifts, that can be really scary. So often, and this is so common on this path, so typical of like many of the women who come to work with me, is that they will be really drawn to it, really like allow themselves to hear the call of soul, and then all of a sudden they distract. There's all these distractions come in. And really discovering who we are and discovering our gifts is really scary. There are lots of costs to that. Although it seems like a benefit, there are costs to discovering our gifts, in that we have to then choose to become the woman that we really are. So there's a lot of fear in that. So often the secret witch will unconsciously create all sorts of ways to avoid being in her power and magic, and she will distract, which is also the same thing that has her avoid her body and create life in a way that has her sabotage her gifts. And she will add then layers of shame and guilt on top of this for not allowing herself to be the magical woman that she really longs to be. So on top of all of that, there's like layers and layers of shame and guilt that there is, you know, somewhere hiding within her this real power, this real magic, and yet she will hide it and she will shame herself for hiding it. And really it's all coming from fear. It's all so understandable. And so again, I just bring that to your awareness, because when we talk about invoking the power of our inner medicine woman, this stuff can come up. This stuff gets stirred up. Medicine woman is going to heal this, all of this. This is, you know, she will be stirring this up as well. So if you are feeling that, then know that this is completely understandable and you're still in the right place. Even though you're kind of feeling like, oh, this is too much, I need to run away. This is still the right path, because you are here for a reason. There is a lot of fear that's likely coming up. There's a lot of fear that's being stirred up by medicine woman, and still you can choose past that. So that is the invitation. And of course, the secret witch has spent her years creating her life. Instead of in a way that's magical, she's been creating her life unconsciously in a way that she experiences physical suffering, emotional suffering, and soul level suffering. She's kept her wounds hidden. She's denied her pain. She's suppressed her emotional wounds for so long that these then end up completely running the show physically in her body to nag her to stop. And she may not well realize that, but that is the process that's going on. But the deeper I have trodden with medicine women, the more and more I have seen that our emotional stuff gets held in our bodies. And that is what has us disconnect, but it's also in the disconnection that we are then kind of making the problem worse. We are, you know, making it more and more and more suppressed. So medicine woman again is going to blow that open in a way that is, you know, at your own pace, because you are consciously choosing the pace as well. So again, the secret witch has spent mostly her whole life running around after others, whether that be her parents, her husband, her kids, her friends. You know, she's been doing what is expected of her. She's not been valuing herself. She's been selling her soul, often in return for love, approval, security, control, all of those things. And she's really been ignoring all of her wild woman's calls. And again, the wild woman aspect is heavily kind of part and contained within the medicine woman. But this is the kind of like where the wild woman knows her no's and she knows her yeses, and particularly her no's. And yet these no's, like the no, I don't want to do that, are often in the secret witch not honoured, not witnessed even. And this can lead to her either ignoring the calls of her body, the calls of her heart, ignoring the yeses that she's yes to, not even knowing what she's a yes and no to, or being the opposite end of the scale, like knowing what her no's are, but getting really angry at other people when her body is screaming no and she's still saying yes. And again, this is so understandable. It's like a huge part of the secret witch is that kind of, I want to say, like being a victim. And I'll explain why I'm using that word later on, because again, it was a huge part of my own journey. But there's this kind of victimhood in the secret witch. Again, completely understandable. It's actually not just in the secret witch. The victimhood is really throughout, ingrained in our culture, ingrained in society. It's rare for us to find fully sovereign human beings these days. It's extremely rare. And of course, that is the work that we're in here in the path of becoming your witch queen, because the queen is all about sovereignty and power. So that is the work. But we're often as a secret witch, and I still fall into secret witch in my victimhood, will often make it that everybody else is at fault, that life's not fair, that, you know, people are just demanding of her. And yet it's our responsibility to be able to say, no, this isn't what I'm available for, in the most loving of ways, which is this path. You know, there's a lot of paths out there that kind of teach you to be like, yeah, I'm going to say no, this is like fighting against the world. But this isn't the same way. This is a feminine path. The path of the feminine is all about love. So this is about lovingly honouring our no's and our yeses. And so again, Medicine Woman will initiate women into this as well. But often as a secret witch, this is something that you will struggle with, is kind of, getting really angry when your body is screaming no and you're still saying yes to things that you don't want to do. And so this kind of way of being has left the secret witch living a busy, unfulfilling life, juggling all the balls, overworking, being in relationships that she doesn't want to be in, whether that's friendships or, you know, romantic relationships. She's been pushing her way through life in a very pressured way. This is a hugely ingrained pattern in me that Medicine Woman has really deeply initiated me into. She'll be struggling with her health, her emotions, her eating. Her eating can be heavily impacted as well, whether that's an eating disorder or, you know, just struggling with food in general. And she'll likely be ignoring the aches and pains of her body. Particularly, this shows up, especially with Medicine Woman, in the parts of our body that are cyclical. So and again, like the feminine parts of our body, where, for example, many secret witches who need to be initiated into Medicine Woman will be ignoring the symptoms that they're feeling in their menstrual cycle, because this is a cyclical thing, and Medicine Woman is all about cycles, and these cycles are really calling her to begin to take notice of nature's rhythms again, rather than like poisoning ourselves with you know, pushing through and not giving ourselves space, but also like poisoning ourselves with toxins. It might be that we take paracetamol on a monthly basis when our cycle is really just calling to us to re-engage with nature's rhythms, to get back to the wild. And of course, all of this leaves the secret witch feeling very burned out, very exhausted, and very overwhelmed often, because ultimately she spent her life not seeing her true magical medicinal power, or her power to create her health, or her power to create all of her life differently. And that really is what Medicine Woman is here to change. She's here to initiate you into the power to create not only your health, but all of life. And if you choose to invoke her, which is what this episode is all about, then that is available for you. There is a new way of being that is available for you, one in which you are really deeply connected to the cycles of the wild, to the cycles of your body, really deeply connected to your, you know, you've come to make friends with your wounds, to be okay with not being okay, and to alchemize that kind of wounding into your gold, into your gifts. And you will then be able to pass all of that on in becoming a gift for the world. This is what is available to you as you invoke your Medicine Woman, and of course, to be able to create all of life. So the first thing that's really important is realizing that you have a choice to make to invoke her power. And that choice is really, I suppose, the first thing to make conscious, because we won't invoke her without making that choice. So I'm going to go into now a little bit of my own story and share my own experience with Medicine Woman, because I feel like that is going to be really powerful today in this episode. But I guess my first initiation, as I mentioned, when I was 4 or 5, I think I was being called to Medicine Woman. I suppose I didn't really initiate her more consciously until later on in life, but I suppose at age 10, I had experienced, well, age 4 or 5, I had experienced the trauma of my dad leaving. So my dad left when I was 4 on my first day of school. He left the family home, and it was the same week that my adopted sister was meant to join the family as well. Mariana, I'd met her in Romania. I travelled to Romania, and I was really excited that I was going to have a sister, and I'd wrapped her up this fluffy pencil case, this red fluffy pencil case, I remember it. And yeah, I was so excited. And then on the first day of school, my first ever day of school, I might add, my world was really blown apart because my dad left, meaning that we couldn't collect my sister, and it was just me and my mum. And from that experience, I created unconsciously lots of stories that I wasn't lovable enough, that the masculine was useless, untrustworthy, unsafe, that we needed to protect and guard ourselves against the masculine. And I basically created my life around those stories, making sure that I was fighting the world to protect myself. So I closed my heart. I worked really hard to be lovable. I made sure that I was deeply guarded with this kind of protective shell. And I also recently talked about some of the other abuse and trauma that I'd experienced in a previous episode. So with all of that going on and lots of experiences of trauma and grief, I got very ill at age 10 with chronic fatigue syndrome, and I missed a year of school, and I was being wheeled around at the time on an office chair because I couldn't actually walk around the house. And it was at that point that my mum chose to take me to the more kind of traditional alternative, I guess, for want of a better word, medicine woman healing, things like homeopathy, Reiki, reflexology, all of the witchy stuff. And eventually, after a year, I got better. So that was really my first initiation, but I guess I wasn't really conscious of the patterns underlying it all. So again, throughout my life, I had more periods of illness. At age 23, I burnt out again with chronic fatigue. And this time it became kind of clearer to me as an adult, as I became more conscious of what was going on, that this was about me not fully allowing my soul to live cleanly. I was in a relationship which wasn't really me, a relationship which I created from my experience of the masculine being worthless and useless. And I was, really living a life that I thought kind of pleased others. I was doing all of the secret witch things, keeping everyone happy, not following my heart, keeping myself financially secure in a relationship where I was taken care of, but didn't really feel loved. I wasn't really allowing myself to be loved. And certainly it wasn't a relationship that was a match on a soul level. And I actually deeply desired and longed to be with my best friend. And I've talked about this a bit in my group. Maybe I'll do an episode on this actually. But my best friend had actually left, feeling in deep pain when I got married, because my family had actually said that they would never speak to me again if I didn't get married to the person I was with. So I felt very trapped. It was a time of great grief. And I remember I was really still healing by invoking my medicine woman, and I started training in all of the witchy therapies and eventually set up my own therapy business, and eventually again went to work in London in Covent Garden and as a homeopath, and I was healing myself whilst also healing others in my medicinal women way. So I studied aromatherapy, reflexology, Reiki, Louise Hay's stuff like homeopathy and many other modalities. I trained in all of them, and as I did, layers and layers would fall away and I'd become more conscious of what was going on. But it was painfully slow because I lacked a guide. My initiation into a medicine woman was something I tackled alone, and I can honestly say that when you have a guide, because I have a guide now and I also guide other women, this is really the only way to create any true lasting change, because especially when we talk about shadow work, shadow is really stuff that we can't see ourselves. So I really lacked, without a guide, the deep shadow work that would illuminate the real patterns that were in shadow that were keeping me stuck in the way of being that was not serving me. So part of Medicine Woman is this deep shadow work, and this real deep work that would have me step into owning my medicinal power and magic fully. And then one day, I remember going to see a therapist after I was married, because my partner was not wanting me to travel, and my soul really longed to travel. I suspect there was some other shadow going on in there, but that wasn't available to me because, again, not having a guide that was familiar with shadow work, which I do now. But at the time, I remember the thing that comes to mind to tell you about that's really important, I remember, is that she said to me, "You're not a victim, are you?" As if to accuse me of being a victim. And I was so angry. I remember thinking, how dare you suggest that I could be a victim? You know, I had spent my life rejecting the label of chronic fatigue syndrome. I'd spent my life, although I had lost my job as a brand manager, I had set up my own business. Again, I was like that real story of I fought my way through this. I have fought my way through life to get rid of this label of chronic fatigue. I've never accepted it. And I've set up my own business doing therapies, which is what I wanted to do. This is the call of my soul. Yeah, how can you call me a victim? I didn't just give up work. And then I realised, and actually I realise even deeper now as I'm sharing this story, that she was right. You know, I was a victim, and even the fighting and the rebellion against being a victim was deep victimhood. And it was perhaps the most triggering thing anyone ever said to me. And trust me, my coach is probably one of the most triggering people on the planet. And she would own that. But yeah, to hear that, you're not a victim, are you? As if accusing me of being a victim, was the most triggering thing anyone ever said. And she had nothing on it, so it didn't matter to her. That's why, you know, often I will trigger my own clients, because this triggering is what is so important in us being able to alchemize all of that shadow into gold. So that triggering experience really set me on a deeper journey of healing. And I started off by going to Bali really as a kind of victimhood rebellion, which I now see as a deeper shadow of the witch, by the way. The witch often operates in two poles of shadow around this, either the good girl, where she says yes to everything and everyone, or the rebellion. So she will, on the flip side of being good, she'll then often scooch over into being the rebellion, no, I'm not going to do that, this is real kind of victim rebellion. And so the aim of this path is to really be able to expand beyond both of those ends of that shadow pole. So at the time, this was very shadowy. I decided to go to Bali to prove that I wasn't a victim, and learnt to be a yoga meditation teacher, which was probably one of the best experiences of my life. And by the end of that trip, I no longer had chronic fatigue, and I was there for a month. So this was powerful, transformative stuff. It was probably my first deep experience of powerful transformation. And then I also found, I trained in homeopathy as well, and I also found something called the 3 principles, which was really a spiritual path of ascension, which I've talked about again before, is an important part of the path. It's not necessary to have walked to walk deeper into this path, but often women who are interested in this path have kind of explored spirituality to some extent. And I got really interested in the stories and the beliefs that we held about our lives. And then I found a path of soul, which is the deepest integration of my medicine woman yet, because it was conscious. It was consciously chosen. And this is the point. In order for us to really invoke our medicine woman, to initiate ourselves into our medicine woman, it has to be done in a really conscious way. And so this is where we are now. We're now up to date in that story, but ultimately what was happening along all of it was I was becoming more conscious of my patterns, of my unconscious patterns. I was becoming more conscious of my magic, of my power, of my medicine woman, who, again, as I say, has until recently been somewhat of an unconscious competence. And the biggest thing that I saw with medicine, I suppose the deepest work that I did, was during my pregnancy. And this is really when I started to be initiated into soul. I started the descent into soul, because my patterns of fear had really, again, created my face to become paralyzed. I had Bell's palsy. The right side of my face was completely paralyzed, and I was told that it wouldn't heal. And I remember being deeply terrified of that. I loved my face. It was, I don't mean to say that in like a big-headed way, but it was probably my favourite part of myself. And yet it was paralysed. And so I remember going to my coach with this, and she asked me another triggering question, which was, why would you create your health this way? And I was stunned, and I realised in that question that I was such a powerful creatrix, that I could even create my health differently. That takes a lot to own. It takes a lot to say, yeah, I've created my face to be paralyzed. And this is when I go back to that kind of victimhood. As witches, we are witch queens. We really do come to see that we are the powerful creators of everything in life. Everything. And I mean everything. I mean including the paralysis of my face that I created. And the more that I came to see that, the more I healed. And my face is now 97% healed. And I was told by medical professionals that that wasn't possible. So this path really does create some of the deepest transformation that I've ever seen available. But it does involve this kind of medicine woman initiation, can often involve those triggering questions, but they are so worth it, because we witches are literally the powerful creators of all of life. And I saw that my repeated illnesses that I'd created through life were really simply because I had learned as a child that I would receive love when I was ill. This was a huge benefit to being ill. And the more I saw about that, the more able I was to own powerfully or sovereignly the fact that I was creating my health, the fact that I was creating my life. And that was so important to own, because owning the creation of what I didn't want, even though that's really hard and that takes a lot of work. So if that doesn't feel available to you right now, that is perfectly okay. But that is so important to do the work in owning, because it means that we also can then own our power to create differently. And this really is the real medicine of Medicine Woman. And so throughout my whole journey, I was really becoming more and more aware of my body, more and more aware of my emotions, more and more aware of how these emotions created ill health, more aware of the unconscious old stories and beliefs that I was creating my life from. I was kind of really liberating all of the unconscious shadowy beliefs that stopped me from being my medicinal witch in the world. And I began to see that I wasn't a victim. I was powerful and I was magical. And the deepest of deep work of choosing to liberate all the shame, or the guilt, or the fear that stood in the way of me fully healing myself and standing in my power, was the path of soul. And this is the invocation of Medicine Woman. That was really a huge part of my entire journey. And the real medicine of Medicine Woman isn't just how she helps us to reconnect to our wisdom, to the medicinal wisdom of our ancestors, to our healing magic, to our kind of alchemist of the darkness into gold. It isn't how she helps us discover the deep hidden layers of ourselves that we wouldn't have otherwise seen. She does all of this, but the real medicine of Medicine Woman is how she has the capacity, if we let her, to initiate us into seeing our full power and magic, to create not only our health and our healing, or even sharing our medicinal gifts into the wider world. The real gift of invoking Medicine Woman is in how she can break us open to seeing our full power to create all of life in a magical way. So she is truly the medicine of all life. So yeah, Medicine Woman is truly a powerful magical healing force who's expanding into her capacity to heal her body and soul, seeing her possibility for the capacity to create a magical life, and discovering her deepest medicinal gifts. And ultimately, Medicine Woman's initiation for me helped me to become the gift that I am today. She helps me to be able to choose to guide magical ones into their own Medicine Woman and to become the gifts that they're meant to be for the world. So going deeply into my wounds, into my Medicine Woman's wounds, was really what I needed in order to realise that I was here to be a witch queen. I was here to help guide magical ones into their power, into their own healing medicine. Because my own wounds had been that of not knowing my power to do that. My own wounds had been not knowing that I was able to magically heal myself. So discovering this along the journey has been my medicine for the world, because now I know how to guide other magical medicinal ones into their power and magic. And yeah, as I say that really gives me goosebumps and makes me want to cry, because I know deep down that I didn't believe that I was capable of that, and I knew all along that I was here for more. My soul knew that this is what it came here for, that I was living a mundane life that I wasn't really being who I was. I wasn't being my Medicine Woman. I wasn't being my witch queen. And the deeper and deeper I've trodden in that journey, guiding other magical ones, this is what I came here for. And it fills me with absolute delight. And to think that without Medicine Woman, I just would not have been able to do any of that. So this January, as I lead 8 magical ones into their Medicine Woman, I'm really quite humbled. And again, I've got goosebumps, like full body tingles at this. I feel so emotional about the fact that I have created it this way. And I have no idea, well, I do have an idea now, but at the time I had no idea that I could create that. But I'm so deeply honoured and delighted that I've allowed my soul to lead me here, and the same is available for you. So by the way, I'm not sure by the time I share this episode, I'm not certain if there'll be any spaces left to join us, as there are only 2 spaces left now as I record this in December. But having said that, it is Christmas in between now and when this goes out, so there may be. So if Medicine Woman is speaking to you, then this is, I think, released the week before our journey. But if you do feel the call to embark on this journey of Medicine Woman, do reach out and we can explore whether that is for you, if there is a space left, or whatever is next for you. I'm happy to have a call, an alchemy call, and chat to you about where you're at in your journey. So do that. And I'll pop how you can do that in the show notes. But back to this episode, this is really about how to tune into your Medicine Woman. So now we've covered in great detail who she is and why she's important. The next question is, are you ready to choose her? So again, right now, I just invite you to just settle wherever you are. Maybe close your eyes. Place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and just take some deep breaths. Maybe a sigh. And just ask yourself, when you're settled, when you're tuned in, when you're feeling soft, am I ready? given all that I know about Medicine Woman now, to choose to tune in deeper to my inner Medicine Woman. And whatever comes up, let that surface. And allow yourself to hear your heart's deeper call. What is your heart saying? What is your soul saying? And if it's a clear yes, I'm going to offer you a few next steps, a few aligned actions that can help you walk a little bit deeper into the path at home and choose to begin invoking your Medicine Woman with some small steps. So again, Medicine Woman is really first and foremost about hearing your body's signals, its symptoms, its calls, its aches, its pains, its no's, its yeses. This is ultimately all about listening more deeply to your body. So the very, very first aligned action of a Medicine Woman, when we talk about aligned action, there's no kind of forced action to take ever, but there's always one aligned action that is the aligned action that feels deeply aligned with your soul. So the first aligned action of a Medicine Woman, if that is you, if you've resonated with what I've shared here, is to begin to notice any sensations that are arising in the body and begin to get familiar with naming them. So if you're serious about tuning into your Medicine Woman, an excellent first practice would be to spend just 10 minutes each morning to just tuning into your heart, tuning into your body, and ask, what do I need today? And then listen to what your body tells you. And also another practice as part of that is to really name the sensations that arise. For example, my chest is feeling tight. I'm having difficulty inhaling in a relaxed way. There's a spiky sensation in my chest. And then name the emotions that are coming up. For example, emotionally, I'm feeling sad. And the feelings, like I'm feeling anxious. The more awareness that you can create for yourself around how your body is feeling, how you are feeling emotionally, the more you are tuning into your Medicine Woman. And if you let her, she will be your guide. And again, this kind of requires devotion. So I would suggest to you that devote to this practice daily for 10 minutes. Just spend 10 minutes in devoted practice for your Medicine Woman. And of course, the work to reclaim Medicine Woman fully goes way, way beyond the depth of just this, but really is a first small step into the path, which is going to be available to you without necessarily needing like deeper guidance, because some of the work that we do in, say, the supported Medicine Woman crucible will require my support, and that is why it's a crucible for that purpose. But to just begin to take those tender first steps into tuning into your Medicine Woman, this is a wonderful first small step to just begin to tune into your heart, tune into your body. And by the way, the book that I would recommend for you, if you are keen to kind of deepen into your Medicine Woman, is of course the book that I read the quote from right at the beginning of this episode. So as we are literally just running out of time, I would recommend that you read Medicine Woman, which is by the wonderful Lucy Pearce. And Lucy is going to be on a future show very soon. But yeah, she has lots of books, all kind of centered around the witch. There's The Creatrix as well. But the book that I'd recommend you read if Medicine Woman is calling to you is, of course, Medicine Woman. So yeah, those are a few aligned actions that I would recommend, particularly the one around the body, around listening to your body, and see how you get on. And of course, you are so welcome to join our Secret Witch Circle group and to let us know in there how you're getting on with this journey, how you're getting on with tuning into your body, what is coming up for you. If you join the group, then just pop a post in the group and let us know. I would love to hear that. Or you can email me as well and reach out and and let me know what's going on for you as well. So I'll pop all the information about that into the show notes for you. But yeah, really allow yourself to choose this. If she's calling to you, and you'll know from how it feels in your body, the more you tune into your body, the more you'll even know that the witch and the medicine woman are calling to you. So this might seem like a really small step, but it's actually a huge step if you're not used to tuning into your body and tuning into your heart. This is huge. So do take away that practice as something that is a serious kind of devotional practice for you to begin to listen in to your medicine woman. And yeah, I think that's all I have to share right now. It's been a wonderful episode to share on, I have to say, and just so magical that I was ill last week, and this is the episode where my voice is just not quite right. It's quite magical how things work out, and that might not sound magical to you, but for me it's very, very significant. So interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, leave you lots of love, and yeah, I'll catch you soon. And as I said, if you are feeling really drawn to medicine woman, do reach out, and we can have a chat about whatever's next for you. Lots of love. This show was actually a glorious dive into my own journey. My takeaways are: medicine woman is a powerful healing aspect of the witch archetype, a divine feminine soul guide who offers a lens to explore the healing oracle we really are. Medicine woman helps us more deeply descend into our bodies. She rips off the plasters and has us look deeply into our wounds in order to consciously choose to heal them. She's the ultimate alchemist. But she's not just about healing. She's an archetype that, if we choose to embody her and own our power, instead of being a victim to our healing, can really help us to step into the power and magic of the witch queen in order to begin to see our capacity to create all of life. Medicine woman not only initiates us into our own healing, but her alchemy of our wounds helps us see our own medicine for the world. She helps us begin to see how we can be of deeper service in our gifts to the world. I wouldn't be where I am guiding magical ones without her. It can be scary to initiate her, but ultimately, if she calls to us, we can't walk the path of soul without her. The choice is yours. What will you decide? One of the first easy steps you can take if you answer her call is to devote yourself to a practice of tuning into your body and letting it be your guide for 10 minutes each morning. If she's calling you deeper though, perhaps it's time to reach out to Nicole to see if there is a space left in Invoke Your Medicine Woman starting next week. If you'd like to get the show notes and links for everything we've chatted about in this episode, head to www.secretwitch.co.uk. If you know a secret witch who would love this episode, please share with them to help them liberate themselves. And so you don't miss out on next week's episode, head to your podcast app of choice and hit subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time.